What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This time, no game sound because I am a fool and accidentally left my stream settings on for my video. So yeah, it might be a little bit of a quiet one today, but we are going to be at the Japanese Grand Prix. Last time out we were at the Singapore Grand Prix, and despite the fact that my early projections, I believed that there was no chance of us getting points there, we actually managed to walk away with 1 point. So I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, we're going to see if we can keep the good times rolling here in Suzuka and try and get some points. However, it might be kind of difficult because I don't trust that gearbox. And so I'm replacing it. And we're going to be taking a 5-place grid penalty in the race. As a result, we might have to actually take one more gearbox before the end of the season as well, possibly. The gearboxes, really something we need to work on building the reliability of if we can, because they last for basically no time at all. You know, it looks like we're going to be getting through probably 6 of them over the course of the season, provided we don't have any more DNFs, which granted we've only had 2 this season, and they were at the very beginning of the season. So yeah, we're probably overdue one at this point, but I don't want to jinx anything, so let's not talk about it any further. And yeah, weather forecast wise, Japanese Grand Prix looking like it might rain at some point during the race, which you know, is pretty standard for the Japanese Grand Prix. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a washout. Just look at last year's Grand Prix when Max Verstappen won it in a race that was only about 40 minutes long, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I don't think it will be that drastic this time around, but nonetheless, it is time to start getting into things. And of course, the first session of the weekend, as always, is practice. And yeah, my pace was not fantastic throughout practice, I'll be honest. I was a little bit far off, as you will see in a second. Not in the top 14. And I will scroll down in a second. You can find out exactly where I was. Yep, that's right. I was the slowest of the people who actually set a time. Hamilton and Piastri didn't feel like going out there. And yeah, Enzo Fittipaldi actually managed to set a faster time on the hards than I was capable of doing on the mediums, which does not bode well for our chances in qualifying or in the race. We have a really difficult task ahead of us potentially, so we need to be on our toes throughout qualifying, try and find some improvements very, very quickly, and yeah, see what we can do. We made it through the practice sessions, we got maximum resource points, all that kind of thing. You know, we're looking good. There is a regulation change upcoming, which is why I'm not investing any of my resource points into any upgrades at the moment. Those can come on later if we have some left over, but for now I'm just primarily focusing on keeping hold of our resource points to adapt any parts that need adapting with the regulation change. They say it's going to affect multiple departments, so we need to be on our toes with that. We start out now in qualifying, and we are on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. However, it was a appalling lap, really not very good from me, and we're going to cross the line to do a 1:29.7, which I already know is not going to be fast enough to get us through. We're only faster than Sargent and Fittipaldi. We're behind Tsunoda and Joe. There's pretty much no way that that's going to be good enough to see us through, but it's okay, because when I came round on the second time of asking, I managed to do a much faster lap. We were over a second faster, about 1.2 seconds faster in the end, and as we come up to the line this time, it is going to be a 1:28.5, and unlike our previous time, that one was good enough to see us through to Q2, and so we're through in 8th place. However, as you'll see in just a moment, Enzo Fittipaldi, not so lucky. You know, he's only made it out of Q2, I think, once or twice this whole season. And, yeah, the Japanese Grand Prix was not one of those times, unfortunately. So he joins Piastri, Joe, Tsunoda, Sargent, and De Vries in the drop zone. And, yeah, he was actually slowest of all in P22. Meanwhile, Piastri, very unlucky there because, you know, he was over a second faster than the guy in 22nd. But, you know, still nonetheless managed to get eliminated. Good for us, though, because we are in a rivalry with Piastri at the moment. So, yeah, wherever we finish, we're going to get a 5-place grid drop. So, ideally, it would be nice to get into Q3. But you can see that I've had an awful run through the chicane there. And I would not be surprised if this is not going to be a fantastic lap time once again. It is a banker lap. And we do a 1:29.8. So, we're going to need to find some big improvement on that if we want any chance of making it through to Q3 for another time. I don't remember if we made it in Singapore or not, but yeah, we need to find some improvement pretty quickly. But unfortunately, on the fresh set of tyres, I actually went worse up until this point, until the final chicane, when I managed to find a lot of improvement. Yeah, we were really struggling, but now we crossed the line, nearly 0.3 of improvement. However, that wasn't really even close to being good enough to see us through. We needed about a second of improvement, if not more than that, which we could have done because we did it in Q1, but unfortunately my Q2 was just not quite as good. And yeah, we are out. And to be fair, we would have needed more than a second of improvement over that. It was a 128.4 was the cutoff. Lance Stroll had a DNF in the practice session, which is why he's out as well. But yeah, we needed a big result, and we didn't get a big result. So unfortunately, it is going to be P15, which means we're probably going to be starting the race in P20, if I had to guess, unless there's more penalties applied to people sort of surrounding me. And yeah, a bit of a disappointing result, all things considered. We do manage to out-qualify Piastri. However, I think he will be ahead of us in the race, which means we're going to want to try and get ahead of him as quickly as we possibly can. And yeah, we're going to see if we can do anything in the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to need to try really, really hard. I don't think we're going to be able to get back into the points. It's not a circuit that our car is particularly well adjusted for. It is one that kind of requires a lot of development in the chassis department and the aero department. Yes, we have a few developments in the aero department, but I think the teams around us are starting to catch us in that department, and so really we're just suffering compared to everyone else in the chassis department, where we've done basically no upgrades. You know, the tyre wear is still pretty bad on our car, unfortunately, and yeah, we're really not looking great right now. So yeah, with the worst car on the grid, the best result that we can really expect to achieve at the moment is probably going to be sort of 14th, 15th, roughly. You know, sneaking into the points is nothing short of a miracle. A red flag helped us in Singapore, but let's see what we can do as we get into the Japanese Grand Prix.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issei Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Sainz, Perez, Norris, Gasly, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Magnussen, Albon, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Zhou, Ocon, Tsunoda, Sargent, Robinson, De Vries, Fittipaldi, and Fernando Alonso rounds off the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Joined once again by Anthony Davidson for this one. Ant, there's a lot of incidents on track recently for this driver. No one does that on purpose. It is part and parcel of racing, though.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Well, we have a big task ahead of us starting in P19 because Alonso picked up a penalty as well. But a lot of work to do here, and we need to make it count if we want to have any chance of getting into the points. Unfortunately, we're going to be starting on a different strategy to everyone else around us, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that a lot of people had a bit more pace than us to begin with. But hopefully we can build into the Grand Prix, get the tyres in their operating window, and after everyone burns out theirs, maybe we can capitalise, pick up some of the pieces, doing a medium-hard strategy, not going on an aggressive strategy, but instead opting for a slightly more conservative one that allows us to push just a tiny bit more and maybe get a little bit more out of the tyres subsequently. But we'll see. We got a good parking as we line up on the grid now, and let's see if we can do anything from 19th on the grid here as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've gotten a good getaway, at least compared to Logan Sargent, Yuki Tsunoda, and Zhou Guanyu. Ocon gets stuck behind Piastri, and before you know it, we are up into P15 already. So this has been an absolutely fantastic start, trying to go around the outside of Ocon. He's trying to come up the inside of me, and I don't know who is going to win out in this battle. It's going to be me, I think. We try and go around the outside of Bottas as well, but it doesn't quite work. But P15 off of the start, pretty good stuff. You can see that Piastri, our rival, is just ahead of us in 13th as well. And then you got Albon in 12th, Magnussen in 11th, and the final points-paying position, I think, is his teammate, Hülkenberg. So that is going to be the target for us today, I think. if we can try and get to the front of this train, that would be something that I would be very keen on doing, but it's going to be easier said than done as we go up the inside of Bottas. Think about maybe even going for a move on the inside of Oscar Pastry as well, but unfortunately we don't quite manage it, and we only make up the one position into P14. These guys on the softs might just be a tad too quick for us today. But yeah, we've managed to have a pretty good start here and made our way up into P14. So we are flying pretty high considering we started in P19. 5 positions made on the opening lap if we can hold on to this one. But Valtteri Bottas is starting to come back at us now. And as we get into 130R, you can see that he is quite significantly ahead of us. But we're going to try and fight him back into the chicane. However, he brakes a little bit later, positions his car well, and unfortunately we can't quite get ahead of him. Can we go around the outside of him here? No DRS at the moment. Who's going to outdrag who? Will it be me? Will it be him? I'm burning the battery, but not too much because I want to hold on to it for at least a little bit longer in the race. He's going to be to the inside. I'm going to be to the outside. Is he keeping it pinned? Yes, he is, and I have to back out of the move in the end. Otherwise, that was going to be an airplane crash, and believe me, we do not want an airplane crash right now. However, lap 4, and I am still on the back of Valtteri Bottas. So there is a legitimate chance I might be able to try and overtake him here. We're going to see if we can go to the inside at the hairpin. I'm not quite close enough. It's not a hairpin, it's a chicane. What am I talking about? We're not quite close enough, and he's going to stick around, and then we get a bit of a wobble coming out of the chicane, and that we may have just fudged up our only chance of being able to get ahead of Bottas here. You know, we were going to have the battery and the DRS coming into this corner, but unfortunately we weren't quite able to make it happen. It feels like the tyres are starting to go off now, and yeah, as you can see, as we move on to lap 6 and towards the start of lap 7, Bottas has broken out of my DRS range, and we've fallen into the clutches of his teammate Zhou Guanyu, who now passes us on the straight as well. So yeah, really difficult for me right now to keep pace with the cars around me. You can see I'm coming under pressure from the Alpine of Esteban Ocon as well, and then not too far afield from him is the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso as well. So this is going to be a really rough one for us, I think. But we'll see what we can do now as we make our way through lap 7 and see if we can hold off Alonso, and for how long we can hold off Alonso. I figure it's going to be a matter of time, and he'll be ahead of us before too long unless we really defend this with all we're worth. We go a bit wide there. He's going to try and go up the inside of us, see if he can overtake us before the hairpin. We're going wheel to wheel, and who's going to win out? Is it going to be myself, or is it going to be Esteban Ocon? I squeeze him out a little bit, but I have to give him enough room that he can keep his foot pinned, and in the traction zone he just gets ahead of me, and yeah, that is going to be P16 for the taking for him. Nice clean overtake on me this time. Didn't have to do any weird shenanigans that involved him flying into a wall like he did in Canada when we were battling. But yeah, it's going to be his former teammate now, Fernando Alonso, trying to put a bit of pressure on me. I wonder who's going to win out this battle. I can't help but feel like it's going to be the star in the supremely overpowered car compared to mine. And yes, we're going to try and do everything we can. We're trying to hold him off the hairpin. We fully squeeze him out that time. No remorse. I'm just going to see if we can hold on to this. But yeah, we're looking like in a really bad position right now. You know, the only people behind Alonso are Sargent, Fittipaldi, and the 2 AlphaTauris of Tsunoda and De Vries. So yeah, it's really not looking very good for us right now, and we're going to have to try really hard if we want to not look like a complete turkey in this race, quite frankly. So yeah, we're going to try and see if we can get ahead of Alonso. He's just gotten ahead of us, but we're going to try and go up the inside at the chicane. We just about have a wheel in. He's got to back out and leave room for us, and he actually does. So yeah, we make it through. Still in P17 for the time being. However, as we come through the hairpin, you can see he's still piling pressure on me. And the whole time that this battle is waging on, Logan Sargent is reeling us in ever more, which is, you know, not something I ever expected I'd have to be worried about. But maybe our car is just getting massively outdeveloped at this point, you know. But there's every chance that when the adaptations come in, we will be able to catch up to the cars around us. That is the hope, at least. But yeah, we're gonna try and see if we can hold on to Alonso. However, the lack of battery is starting to concern me a little bit. Sorry, I'm yawning a little bit. I'm a little bit tired. Lack of battery is starting to concern me a little bit. Go up to the inside of Fernando Alonso and actually make the move stick. And I think we're going to have the DRS for good measure as well. So yeah, we're going to break away from him and still holding on to P17 for the time being. But here we are on lap 10. And I don't know who's going to win out of this one. Is it going to be Alonso? Is it going to be myself? Alonso gets ahead again, but are we going to do the same thing? 3 laps in a row at the hairpin, at the chicane. We're faster through 130R, and that allows us to have a good run on him into the chicane. And once again, we have made the move stick. And as soon as we get past Fernando Alonso this time, something different happens, and you can see that we are looking at Fernando Alonso. He's coming under pressure from Logan Sargent, and then his engine blows up, and Logan Sargent has to do very well to avoid Fernando Alonso, who's slowing down at that point. Through goes Fittipaldi, through goes Tsunoda and De Vries, and off the track is about to be Fernando Alonso. Where is it? He's going to go in between these 2 sponsorship billboards, and that is the end of his race. He is the first retirement. And we are now going to be coming under a lot of pressure from Logan Sargent, who is going to try and come up the outside of us going into 130R. But will we have a better run on him? I don't know. Let's see what's he going to do. We're going to try and go to the inside, and we've managed to make the move. I think maybe he's going to be stuck to the inside. He almost goes into the side of our car, actually, but he just about manages to avoid it. And yes, some people are starting to pit now, so we're going to be gaining a few positions, but I imagine we'll probably just be losing them straight back. I think even Tsunoda has actually come into the pits at this point, so that's someone we have to be a little bit conscious about. Is you know, the threat of an undercut from Yuki Tsunoda, whether he's able to get past us or not. But there's a few things that we have to worry about right now, like the relentless pressure from Logan Sargent behind, and indeed my teammate Fittipaldi has actually managed to catch him at this point. Sergio Perez is out of the session, which means we'll gain 1 position from that, at least, because he was definitely ahead of us, despite the fact that he's having a shockingly poor season compared to everyone else in the rest of the top 3 teams. You know, he's more interested in fighting Fernando Alonso, who's in a car slightly inferior to Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull. But that's where his championship fight lies, the fight for 6th. Whereas all the other 5 drivers in those top 3 teams are kind of fighting over the championship tooth and nail at the moment. We come into the pits, Sargent comes into the pits, Fittipaldi's staying out, but I think pretty much everyone else is going to have pitted at this point. Actually, oh no, never mind, Magnussen had already pitted, hadn't he, because he was ahead of us before. And through goes Piastri again, through goes Albon again. Here comes the Alfa Romeo of Joe Guan Yu. And let's see where Tsunoda is going to come out in relation to us. Who's going to be ahead? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be him? It's going to be super close. But I think it's just going to be Yuki Tsunoda here. He just sneaks through, and I don't know if we're going to have the opportunity to get back past him, whether he's going to have the pace on us or not. I don't think so. So effectively, we haven't really gained any positions. And as we move now onto lap 16, you can see that I am still in P17. And this is where I have been for pretty much the vast majority of the race. So it's been a really, really bad situation for us. And we're still coming under pressure from Logan Sargent. This guy just doesn't let up. He's not letting go. And there's not really much I can do here, you know. I'm trying to do everything I can. But he's going through, making his way up into P17. And yeah, we're going to have to see if we can hold on to this one. We're having a bit of a battle here with Logan Sargent, really. And I'm going to go to the inside at the chicane once again. But we've gone a little bit deep here. However, we've managed to make the move stick. He thinks about going around the outside. We get some marbles on the tyres. However, we managed to scrub them off pretty quickly. And we are going to be into P16. However, the difference here between other laps is that this time he's got the DRS behind. So all I have to hope is that he can't close me down by the time we get to the corner. And indeed, he can't. So that is going to be me holding on to P17 still. But as we move now onto lap 19, I should say, Logan Sargent has not fallen away from me, and he's Tsunoda getting further and further away, and Ocon is even further away from that. We are having a dire time in this Jaguar right now, and I know it must be me and not the car, because Fittipaldi is right here with me, which suggests that I should probably be a little bit further afield, because I've trounced him in some of these Grand Prix weekends beforehand. But yeah, Japan just doesn't seem to be my circuit at the moment. You know, we've got what I consider to be a pretty good setup here, but it just doesn't seem to be working out for us, unfortunately. And that's really, really unfortunate, as we're going to come under a bit of pressure here from Logan Sargent in the DRS zone, I imagine. Only 3/10 behind as we get into the DRS zone. And that is, yeah, it's going to be him steaming through. And there's basically nothing we could do here to avoid that happening, which means that we're going to be down into P18, and we're going to have to try and resist the pressure from our teammate. However, as we move on to lap 26, start of lap 26, you can see I'm going to try and go around the outside of Sargent, get onto the marbles a little bit. Who's going to win out in this battle? We make a little bit of contact maybe there, but we do have the extra traction on the exit of the corner, and we manage to break our way through and back up into P17 just in the nick of time. However, I think we're going to be coming under a little bit of pressure from him potentially before the end of the race. You never know. It could be me. Could be him, and we'll see who wins out in this one. Whether it's myself, whether it's Sargent. He thinks about going for a move at the first corner, but it was really just a little bit half-hearted. I don't really know whether he sort of left it a little bit too late to try and go for something there. I don't know, but either way, I think we're going to be able to resist this pressure. I'm not sure. You can see he's very close behind us though, less than 4/10 as we come on the run up to 130R. It's really going to come down to whether he can get a good run into 130R or not. I think he's going to try and go to the inside here, but he has to back out at the last minute because he clearly didn't think we could go too wide through there, and that's compromised his whole run down to the chicane, which probably means I'm going to be able to hold on. I've only got 5% battery left, which means it's going to be me burning it all the way to the line, and as we cross the line, we are going to hold on to P17. At least we had some semblance of a battle here, but bloody hell, this was some of the worst pace I have had the whole season. And yeah, unfortunately, it's only P17 to show for our efforts here. So yeah, bad race, and hopefully we can bounce back.
Another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everyone played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
It is George Russell who takes the victory here in Suzuka, and he is flanked by Verstappen and Sainz, actually. So yeah, a little bit of a mixed-up podium. You know, no repeat teams here, but George Russell taking the victory, and that is potentially going to do a world of good for his championship chances. Same with Sainz, who finds his way onto the podium, and same with Verstappen. You know, they're all having a very, very strong season at the moment, and I can't wait to see who wins.
This result then narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings.
Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
Let's move on to the constructors. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
It's very tight at the top in the driver's standings, and actually Mercedes is starting to catch Ferrari in the constructors as well, which is very exciting. Haas have made their way back past us and into P7 in the championship after they finished, I think, 7th and 8th. So a very strong weekend from Hülkenberg and Magnussen. Basically the best kind of result that they can really hope for. I think Stroll ended up coming 6th, and then Alonso and Perez obviously were absent from the top 10. So yeah, Haas really best of the rest around Suzuka apparently. But, you know, Mexico's not long away, and they always do terribly around there. So here's hoping. Mexico's a track that I always have done historically quite well at. But there's a few races before that, obviously. I don't remember what's next, actually. I can't remember if it's Texas first, then Qatar, or if it's Qatar first, and then Texas. I should probably know this stuff, right? I'll see if I can find it out for you right now, because that's the kind of thing I should absolutely know what race I'm doing next. I'm going to be recording it the morning after I'm recording this, so I need to be left on my toes. I think it's Qatar, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is in fact Qatar coming up next. I just double checked. So yeah, Qatar coming up next. That's going to be a very interesting race, isn't it? Never raced there before, of course, apart from in sort of online races and stuff like that. You know, obviously I've played a little bit of the online in this game, but in career mode, it would be my first ever time around Qatar, and I have to say I'm a little bit nervous because you know, track limits are pretty easy to exceed on that track. You know, a lot of people playing in ranked and stuff like that obviously don't have to worry about that, but yeah, track limits not an easy marker, so very difficult it's going to be to escape that one without a penalty, and especially if I'm coming under pressure from cars around me as well, which I mean, on the early signs of it seems like I don't have a massive amount of pace around there, so that's something that could be slightly worrying. But you never know. anything can happen. Maybe I'll end up having a pretty good race around there after all. Either way, I'm very excited. You know, I'm a lot more excited to do a race around there than I am around Vegas, because Vegas has not really clicked for me so far. And yeah, we'll see if we can continue cementing ourselves in P8 in the championship. I don't think that Williams, Alfa Romeo, or AlphaTauri are going to catch up to us. So yeah, I think we have a very good chance of finishing here. And who knows, maybe we'll get some more news on the regulation changes which are upcoming. They say that they're going to affect multiple departments, but that's all we really know. I wouldn't be surprised if they affect the aero department, since that's the one we've got the most investment in at the moment, but who knows. Oscar Piastri, after a strong race, has managed to catch back up to us in the rivalry, and it's 9-9 for us at the moment. But yeah, there's still an ample opportunity for us to get ahead of Piastri in the rivalry, so I'm not too concerned at the moment, and we'll just keep pushing to see if we can get ahead of him. But yeah, this has been not our finest race, unfortunately. P17 and P19. I think we could have done a lot better than that, but just unfortunately we couldn't maximize the pace of the car today. So yeah, hopefully we can come back stronger in Qatar. But for the time being, that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.